It looked like somebody was bent over and had their head in the window of the deer blind. It either heard me or smelt me, and he pulled his head out of the tent and stood straight up, and that shocked me. They don't make people that big.
The way it moved, almost as if it was gliding across the beach. I've never seen anything move like that in my life. They were screaming at each other in gibberish. It sounded like a language, and they were chuntering away back and forwards, back and forwards, back and forwards. I know what a bear looks like, and there is no way on this planet that what I saw were bears.
911, what are you reporting?
Jesus Christ, you better... Sheriff? Zia!
Hello?
Get somebody out here.
What's going on now, sir?
That son of a bitch is about 6'9", I don't know.
Do you see him now, sir?
Yes, I'm looking right at him.
Uh-oh.
Hi, this is Carol King from Music City, and you're listening to Sasquatch Chronicles.
Welcome to the show, everyone. Thanks for being here. Got a great show planned for you tonight. We're going to be chatting with Bruce, and Bruce actually comes to us from Oregon. He's right across the river from me, and back in 1979, he was a small boy, 8 or 9 years old, and he had an encounter with a strange creature. He was out cutting wood with his family. We're also going to be chatting with Mike, and Mike had an encounter in Arkansas, almost over 20 years ago. He was actually out camping, and the night has always kind of stuck with him. And I think after hearing the encounter, you'll realize why it was very strange. It wasn't a person. It wasn't a bear. A very, very strange night. If you've had an encounter and you'd like to be on the show, shoot me an email. My email address is wes@sasquatchchronicles.com. Very cool weekend. It's Super Bowl today, and I'm really hoping my Chiefs pull it out. It's going to be a good game, and I can't wait to watch it. But thank you again for being here tonight. Let's actually jump into it. I want to welcome Bruce to the show. Bruce, thanks for coming on.
Hey, thanks for inviting me. I'm glad to be on here.
Yeah, I really appreciate you coming on. And it's cool to have you in here. I know we're kind of neighbors, really.
Yeah.
Basically across the river from you, but
I was just going to say that. Yeah, just cross the river.
Yeah. Let me ask you, I know this encounter took place in Northeast Oregon, 40 years ago, almost, really, or over 40 years ago.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, when I was about 8, 9 years old, I think it was the summer of 79, not to paraphrase the song by recording artist, but it was, I want to say about June or so, seems like, because it was fairly still warm at night. It wasn't real cold. We didn't have to bundle up in coats and stuff like that. So it was fairly warm and everything. I think that's about the time it happened.
Okay. Well, if you would you just kind of start from the very beginning? Kind of tell us about that day. What were you doing, and walk us into what happened?
Okay. Well, we used to go out wood cutting, go get wood for my grandpa and my uncle and everybody who brought their truck and trailer. We'd pretty much fill them up, and sometimes we'd stay the night if it took longer. We used to go out up around, I don't know if there's a place near here called Spring Creek Road. I'm sure there's probably a Spring Creek Road in pretty much every state in America, but we would go up that way, and we got up fairly early, sometimes before the sun came up. So I'd fall asleep on the way up to the camp spot, wood cutting spot, whatever you want to call it. And so that day we got up, it was pretty normal, nothing out of the ordinary. We're just going to go wood cutting again. And so we headed up in the mountains. And the truck, I didn't really wake back up until the truck slowly came to a stop. And we all got out, and started to unload things. And I used to run up to, like, I don't know, I call them rock bluffs, or these rock outcroppings. Sometimes you see, what I'm talking about, like up on hills and stuff.
Yeah, especially where you're at. There's a ton of them.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them around here. So we went up Spring Creek, and I would go check out those rock bluffs, kind of, as a kid. I'd pretend they're my fort or whatever, go play around. And so I ran up to this one as they were getting camp set up and everything, and I probably got 35, 40 some yards maybe from it. It was kind of on a little hill, but not so big that you couldn't really see around the sides and the back of it. And so I saw something pop up over the rock bluff that just stopped me dead in my tracks. I didn't know what to think. My 9-year-old mind was just in sheer amazement. What is this thing there? And it was kind of dark complexion. I don't want to say like dark brown, almost black even. And the hair on it didn't look like real kept or groomed, but not like ratty, but kind of, raggedy. You know how you twist up hair and it goes up to a point?
Yeah,
Maybe
kind of
something kind of like
unkept.
that. Yeah, kind of unkept and stuff. And so I noticed that at first, and then I looked, and the sun was still up behind its shoulders. I couldn't really see the face real well, but I could see there, a little bit of glisten of the eyes, and it was dark complected, no hair in the face, and it kind of, I don't know. I heard a term earlier too. It was cross almost between like a small gorilla, Planet the Ape kind of ish, and almost Down syndrome caveman or something. Maybe that's, I don't know. Not to make fun of anybody like that or anything in that way. But it had this weird, unique look to, and I did notice the head was kind of conical, long towards the back. It did look like a smaller version of the big one. Just everybody talks about how its head's just kind of looks like it's sitting on its shoulders. I was just, I'm sure it probably did the same thing staring at me. If I could have seen it better, I could have almost swear we had eye lock. And it was probably only 30, 25, 30 seconds, if that. But when you're caught in one of those moments, it didn't look like anything I've ever seen ever before. And you just sit there kind of gazing and in amazement, what could this be? And it was just, I didn't know what to think. And so it ducked down behind the rock, and I kind of was like, well, maybe I should, look a little close. Maybe I was just seeing, which I didn't. But anyway, I went to run up on the hill, and it turned and ducked around the right side of the rock bluffs looking at me. So that stopped me again. And I definitely seen something. I know that whatever it was, it's there. It's looking back at me. And about that time, I heard my grandpa say, Bruce, come on, time to get to work. And at the time, I wished I would have put more of a protest. But when you're young, you don't talk up to the elders, talk back to them, and But I real quickly, I kind of, hey, you guys, there's something over here. Come here, quick, come here. No, you got, you'll have time to play later. And so I was like, all right, and slowly kind of, went back to camp, still shaking my head like, what was that? I think I even looked over my shoulder a couple times.
Yeah, can you kind of describe, so were you able to get a look at the face? And I mean, how big was it compared to you being 9 years old?
It was a young one too. I'm sorry if I forgot to mention that. I think it was a juvenile, because it wasn't maybe as tall as me, maybe a little shorter. It wasn't very big at all. It was a small one. When it went to put its hands up on the bluff and look over, it was probably maybe a foot or two up over that. And it was one of the smaller bluffs I've seen. It wasn't very big.
Oh, I got you.
But yeah,
so it wasn't like you came across this huge hulking figure.
It was a smaller one.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Not a lot of people run into the smaller ones, and that must have been a really young one. If it's you being 9 years old and it's smaller than you are. Maybe as tall as me, because I wasn't very tall at the time, maybe 4'9", between 4'9" and 5 foot. I was kind of a smaller kid at the time, At the time, I wasn't very big till my later years. I spread a little more. Yeah, and
I
so
was kind of short.